What if the war you are watching on the news right now was decided in a single afternoon, 73 years ago? Why does Iran call America the Great Satan? And why does that hatred run so deep that 70 years of negotiations, sanctions, and diplomacy have never once extinguished it? What if the CIA destroyed something in 1953 that could never be rebuilt? Something that made everything that followed not just possible, but inevitable? And what if the missiles, the blockades, the bombed cities you are seeing in 2026 are not a new war at all, but the final chapter of a story that began in a Tehran office block in August 1953, with a decision that took 4 days to execute and 73 years to fully detonate? The evidence tells a different story than the one you were taught. Before we dive in, subscribe and comment what part of history we should cover next. To understand what is happening in 2026, you need to understand what Iran was in 1951. Not the Iran of supreme leaders and nuclear standoffs. Not the Iran of burning American flags and death chants. The Iran of 1951 was something else entirely. A country on the edge of becoming something remarkable. It had oil. Vast, extraordinary reserves of oil. Black gold sitting beneath Persian soil that had been feeding British industry for decades. Since 1909, the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, later renamed the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, a British corporation, had controlled Iran's oil fields. Iran received a small royalty. Britain took the rest. For more than 40 years, this arrangement had stood. Mohammad Mossadegh had spent his career fighting this arrangement. A lawyer, a politician, a Democrat. He believed passionately that Iran's oil belonged to Iranians. When he was elected prime minister in 1951, he did something that stunned the world. He nationalized the oil, Iran's oil, in Iranian hands, for the first time in 40 years. To Iranians, Mossadegh was not just a politician. He was proof that democracy worked, that a country like Iran, ancient, proud, resourceful, could govern itself without bending to foreign powers. He was elected. He governed with a parliament. He allowed a free press. He was, by every measure, exactly the kind of leader the West claimed to want in the Middle East. In London and Washington, they called him a threat. Britain's response to nationalization was swift and ruthless. The Anglo-Iranian Oil Company withdrew its engineers from Iran, every last one of them, leaving the oil fields unable to operate without British expertise. Britain then imposed a naval blockade, preventing Iran from selling its own oil to anyone in the world. The strategy was simple. Strangle the Iranian economy until Mossadegh fell. And it was working. Iran's oil revenue, the entire economic foundation of Mossadegh's government, had collapsed. The British blockade was choking the country. Mossadegh needed help. He needed a partner. He looked to the one country powerful enough to break the blockade and broker a fair deal. He looked to America. In 1953, Mossadegh wrote directly to Eisenhower, a formal letter from one democratically elected leader to another. He explained the situation. He explained the British blockade. He asked America, the nation that had championed democracy and self-determination across the world, to help Iran exercise exactly those principles. He waited for a reply. But there is something else in this story that almost nobody talks about. Something that was happening in Washington while Mossadegh was waiting for his reply. Hold that thought. While Mossadegh's letter sat on Eisenhower's desk, the CIA was already planning his removal. The operation had a name, Operation Ajax. Its objective was the overthrow of Iran's democratically elected government. The CIA authorized $1 million, wired directly to its Tehran station, to bring Mossadegh down by any means necessary. Its timeline was 4 days. The CIA hired Tehran's most feared street criminals to pose as Mossadegh's supporters and ordered them to commit acts of violence while chanting his name. They bribed newspaper editors to print fabricated stories. They paid religious clerics to denounce him from the pulpit. They created a fake communist movement and blamed it on his government. They were building a lie so large and so loud that the truth would be drowned out. The evidence tells a different story than the one Britain and America told the world. On August 19, 1953, the CIA's operation reached its climax. hired mobs flooded Tehran's streets. The army, whose officers had been bribed, refused to defend the government. Within hours, Mossadegh's home was surrounded. He escaped through a back window in his pajamas. By nightfall, he was in custody. Iran's first democratically elected prime minister was arrested, tried for treason, sentenced to 3 years in prison, and then spent the rest of his life under house arrest. He died in 1967. He never left his home again. The Shah was reinstalled. 40% of Iran's oil fields were immediately signed over to American companies. America got its oil. Britain got its companies back. The Shah got his throne. Iran got 26 years of dictatorship. The Shah ruled with American support and American weapons. His secret police, the Savak, trained by the CIA, became one of the most feared intelligence services in the world. Dissidents were arrested in the night. Journalists disappeared. Protesters were shot. And in the mosques, in the universities, in the back rooms of a country that remembered what democracy had felt like, the anger was building. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini had been exiled by the Shah in 1964 for his opposition to American influence in Iran, first to Turkey, then to Iraq, then to Paris. From a suburb of Paris, he recorded his sermons on cassette tapes, and those tapes were smuggled back into Iran by the thousands. In them, he gave the anger a name: America, the Great Satan. The power that had reached into Iran, stolen its democracy, installed its dictator, and taken its oil. He was not wrong about the facts. He had simply found the most incendiary possible way to state them. By 1978, the Shah's regime was collapsing. The protests had become a revolution. On January 16, 1979, the Shah boarded a plane and left Iran for the last time. On February 1, 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini landed in Tehran after 14 years in exile. 3 million people were waiting for him at the airport. The Islamic Republic of Iran was born. 9 months later, Iranian students stormed the American embassy in Tehran and took 66 Americans hostage, 52 of whom would remain captive for the next 444 days. America and Iran have not had formal diplomatic relations since. Now, the letter. The one Mossadegh wrote to Eisenhower in 1953, the one asking America for help. Eisenhower received it. He read it. His advisors discussed it. And then, while Mossadegh waited for America's response, Kermit Roosevelt was already in Tehran with his suitcases of cash, building the operation that would destroy him. The reply to Mossadegh's letter came eventually. It was formal, polite. It expressed America's hope that Iran would resolve its difficulties with Britain through negotiation. It said nothing about the coup that was already underway. Mohammad Mossadegh, the man who believed in democracy, who looked to America as its guardian, was overthrown 6 weeks after writing that letter. He never knew that the reply and the coup were written by the same hand. The CIA's own historians later described the 1953 coup as the event that made the 1979 revolution not just possible, but inevitable. A straight line drawn in 1953, running directly to Khomeini, to the hostage crisis, to decades of sanctions, to proxy wars across the Middle East, to the nuclear standoffs, to the assassination of Qasem Soleimani in 2020, to the bombs falling in 2026. The war you are watching right now did not begin on February 28, 2026. It began on August 19, 1953, with a coup that took 4 days to execute and 73 years to fully arrive. 2 men stand at the center of this story. One believed that democracy and American values were the same thing. The other built his entire movement on proving they were not. One was destroyed by America in 4 days. The other built a revolution that America has spent 73 years trying to reverse. The CIA called Operation Ajax a success. Some decisions are made in an afternoon. Their consequences last a century. The question worth asking is not why Iran hates America. It is why anyone is surprised that it does. If you are found this as fascinating as we do, and trust us, it gets even more extraordinary from here. Consider subscribing to the channel. We cover the hidden stories behind the events that shaped our world. And we would love to know, what topic would you like us to explore next? Drop it in the comments below. You might just see it become our next video.